even in a relationship, both people need like if you're a guy, you need time with other guys. They understand you better. Like you can share things. You can be versions of yourself that you can't be around your wife, and that's fine. That's okay. Like
Yeah.
your wife gets a version of you, and that's awesome. But like there are things that guys just like talking about more, and that's okay. It's not like you're hiding things from her or that she doesn't get you enough. It's just because men and women are different. So you need to we don't live on islands as married couples for a reason.
Hey everyone, it's Ollie Olds here with a quick word from our incredible sponsor, Pitch Roofer. You know, your home is your castle, and nothing protects that castle better than a solid, reliable roof. That's where Pitch Roofer comes in. They're not just building roofs, they're building trust, community, and peace of mind. Pitch Roofer has been serving our local community for years, and what really sets them apart is their commitment to giving back, from supporting local sport teams to donating to charities. They're making a real difference beyond roofing. Together, we are stronger. Now, if your roof is looking a little worse for wear, or you are thinking it might be time for a full replacement, Pitch Roofer has got you covered with top quality solutions tailored to protect your home and boost that curb appeal. Why should you choose Pitch Roofer? Let me break it down for you. Experienced professionals. These guys know this stuff with years of expertise in residential roofing. Affordable rates, competitive pricing with no hidden costs, high quality materials, durable weather resistant products that stand the test of time. Free inspections, get the condition of your roof checked at no cost. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. They're not happy until you are. So whether it's a repair, a replacement, or you just want a peace of mind your roof is in good conditions, give Pitch Roofer a call on 01656 470016. A text message to 07540 443345 or email Gerald at pitchroofer.co.uk. Pitch Roofer, building more than roofs, building a stronger community. Now, back to the show.
Cole, man, how are you doing?
Doing awesome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, like I just said off this, I'm going to say it again. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
I got you on because Cole, for the listeners out there, is someone who helps people go into a healthy relationship or helps people overcome relationships, understand attachment styles, and more importantly, learn a lot more about themselves. Is that the best way of explaining it for you, Cole?
Yeah. Yeah, I usually work with people just after heartbreak, or maybe if they have patterns that keep causing them to go through breakups, to really identify what those patterns are and break them so that they can enjoy long-lasting relationships, hopefully lifelong relationships.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, the reason, well, I reached out to you obviously is I
Yeah.
worked with you for a little bit, and I'm happy to share this. Touch on it was. I think I noticed patterns in myself in relationships where my even though things happened around me, I noticed my own doing in them, my attachment styles, and it was something that was always cropping up for me whenever it got too serious or it got to another level. I think it was overwhelming for me, and this uncertainty, this fears would crop up, and I'd sabotage them essentially, and other aspects. And I think when I in the relationship I am in right now, before we even kind of got serious, I was like, right, let's sort my crap out, and in the best way. And I reached out to you, Cole, because I've been watching your Instagram for a couple of years, and you really hit the nail on the head with a lot of things you discussed. So, man, I'm really grateful for you to be here.
Yeah, man. I didn't even know you were watching it that long. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be at least a year or two. Like just looking at your content, and it was resonating with me. And then you learn more about attachment styles. And I think
Yeah.
I don't know if men, I don't want to say the stats on it, but I'm not sure if many people know about attachment styles as much as they should and
Yeah.
understand what attachment style they are. Like I had a client the other day, even down to like understanding love languages and understanding things. And
Yeah.
they've been married for like over 10 years, and I was really hit back by the person didn't know his love language was partners. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
let's really like understand a few things. So I've got questions to ask you, Cole. And I
Cool.
really want to ask you like a simple question right now, and I think a lot of people might believe in this, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but you might be able to answer it in a professional way. So, is there such thing as the one?
I don't like that idea. No.
No.
I think that initially there's a lot of people that we can connect with. And that's going to set us on different paths that we even become different people. Like I think if I was married to someone else, I'd become a drastically different person.
Mm.
But once you choose someone, I do think that you build together something and you have to really lock into that.
Yeah.
But that's one belief that hurts people a lot after breakups is
Mm.
they think, okay, 25. I found this girl that I've never felt this way for anyone else. Therefore, she's my soulmate, and I'm screwed now. Like I just get to have a second best version of my life now if she doesn't come back. And that's why I really don't like that idea. I think it's really demoralizing and hard. I think you're extremely resilient and you can come back from those types of things. And I believe that because that's what happened to me. Like I got married when I was 20 years old, and then we were married for almost 3 years, and I totally thought that. I thought that when she wanted a divorce, I thought I'd never be happy again or I'd never find anybody else ever again. And I
Mm,
dated again and I got another girlfriend, but I still felt like she was the most perfect connection I'd ever have, and I was just doomed to live this second place version of what my life could be.
mm,
And later, like after I learned all the stuff that we worked through, which we could talk about too, I I met Jocelyn, and it's been way better than that. So yeah, my favorite idea around the one is if you believe that, like if you're with someone, I love the idea. Like really build that, be like, okay, yes, we're building to love. But if you're not, and it's just an idea that's holding you back and you're just really discouraged about the future, I like the humility of believing you don't know the best path for your own happiness. You don't know the best way your life is going to turn out because there's unlimited different possibilities and you just can't possibly know them all.
mm. You just mentioned then as well, obviously going through, getting married at 20 and then divorce and then
Yeah.
meeting your partner Jocelyn. Is that what transformed you into kind of going down the rabbit hole of like understanding yourself, attachments, relationships, and building more, I suppose, self-esteem in yourself?
Yeah, so I got divorced and then I did the wrong thing right after. I just jumped on dating apps like immediately.
Yeah.
I think I waited 3 days and then just jumped on dating apps. And my thought then was, I am so sad and this is not at all how life was supposed to go. So I just need to turn it around and go on and pretend like it didn't happen. Like I was just kind of trying to skip it. Like
Mm,
I could just like fast forward this part of my life and get on to the next part. So I got a girlfriend really quickly, like a month after we separated. We weren't even all the way divorced yet. I think the divorce got finalized like maybe a couple weeks after I was official with someone else. And what ended up happening was I just repeated all the bad things that I did in the marriage because I didn't do anything to fix it,
mm,
which felt even worse because then I felt really stupid because when I saw myself making similar mistakes, like I was like critical or I'd get jealous and things like that. I just felt really dumb because
mm,
I was like, this is the most painful thing I've ever done, and I'm just doing it again. What the heck is wrong with me? And then she broke up with me because when we started talking about the future and getting married and stuff with the second girl, I got super distant. And kind of like what we talked about with you, like I would just like my mind just was looking for all these ways to get out because I think I was just really afraid of the pain of getting divorced again. So I really didn't want to choose wrong. So I just started noticing tons of flaws in her. I'd see other couples walking on the street and be like, they look so much happier than me. I know they're happier than I am. And then, yeah, I just got super distant and she broke up with me too. And it was about that point after the second one that I decided I need to learn stuff. I don't want to do this anymore. So it wasn't necessarily at the beginning because I wanted to learn these things because they were interesting. It was because I really didn't want to get divorced or broken up with anymore. It
yeah.
was extremely painful. So I thought I'm gonna learn so that I don't. And I hope that I don't ever again. I'm married now and I hoping that I'm doing everything I can to continue learning. And I know I can't control everything, but yeah, that was the original motivation was this hurts really bad and I don't want to feel it anymore.
It's interesting you said that like regarding going into the next relationship kind of you it's as if you kind of want to know straight away what's going on like and is this solid, but then you don't have the 100% knowing of everything, so it keeps that friction between the two, like you kind of touched on. And I suppose my next question I wanted to ask you, which kind of connects to this. So, in your experience, what's the emotional pattern people keep repeating in relationships that quietly sabotages their chances at real love? And how can they begin to break their own cycle?
That's where I like attachment style. Let's dive into like a basic of what they are.
Please.
Are your listeners familiar with like the basics of what they are? Or
I
should I
believe,
go into that
yeah, yeah,
first?
I believe that they know the basics, but like the like the smaller. So, but please go as far as you want to go in any attack.
Okay. Okay, cool. Because I think that attachment styles are the best way to understand this question because people don't sabotage it in the same way. They sabotage it in like four really consistent ways. So, so there's four basic attachment styles, and you can think of this like a quiz. So just like if you're listening to this podcast, just see, okay, which one do I sound most like? And before we get into them, there's a couple caveats to remember. So number one, you're not born with it. It's not like having blue eyes or
Mm.
blonde hair. It's just whatever environment you grew up in, this was the most effective way to survive and get your needs met and be loved. So you develop this pattern for how you interact with love and how you view yourself within love and relationships. The next thing is they're not stuck. They're not static. They can change. So that they can change for the worse. If you are with someone who is extremely emotionally unavailable and always makes you question yourself and question love, you'll probably become more anxious. If you're with someone who's really, really highly insecure and pressurized and is always like, "Do you love me? Do you love me?" You'll probably become more avoidant. So it changes like that depending on what you're at, but it can also get better if you're reading books, if you're going to therapy, going to coaching, then you can adjust them to also become more secure. Okay, so the four categories are secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And I'll start talking about how they formed and what they look like as adults. So, if you grow up that you are having your needs met really consistently by your parents, so you're just existing as a kid, you have feelings, you have outbursts, you're sad sometimes. If your parents are able to be there for you emotionally and help you through your emotions most of the time, like the studies are actually, even if it's just more than 50% of the time, that's about the tipping point. Then you develop a couple beliefs, and these turn into secure attachment styles. So the first is I believe that I'm good enough for love. I deserve it fundamentally. And the second is love is real and safe and abundant in the world. So I'm good and the world is good and full of love. So when people believe that and then they grow up, and this is kind of the gold standard, this is what everyone wants to work towards. And some people just grow up like this, which is awesome.
Mm.
But you do kind of all the healthy relationship things just on autopilot. So you're good at communicating, good at assuming the best of others, good at distance and closeness, good at not getting that jealous, confident in yourself, all those things. Pretty much anything you can think of that's like kind of the boring, really good version of how to be in a relationship. That's secure. Next one, anxious. So this one is if the parents are inconsistent meeting those needs. Sometimes they can, but like less than 50%, most of the time they can't.
Mm.
So doesn't mean they're bad. Sometimes it does. But most of the time, it just means they're really busy with work or school, or they're getting divorced, or you have a sibling that maybe has an illness and needs more attention than you do, struggling in school. Maybe they have mental health concerns. For whatever reason, as a kid, you get your needs met sometimes, but most of the times not. So
Mm.
you think, something's wrong with me. I don't deserve love, I guess. I know it's there. I know it exists because I've seen it sometimes, but I don't get it a lot of the time. So because it's this really rare commodity, whenever I do get it, I need to hold on to it very, very tightly because it's going to get away because I don't deserve it.
Mm.
So what that looks like as an adult is just a lot of clinginess, a lot of pursuing people that aren't interested in you, a lot of asking, are we okay? Thinking that your ex or your girlfriend or boyfriend really loves someone else behind the scenes, they don't actually love you. And it just leads to a lot of extra pressure being put on the relationship. So when you ask, like, what are some things that sabotage it? That's one.
Yeah.
If you're highly anxiously attached and you don't believe that they love you, sometimes it can become a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that it just puts so much pressure on the relationship that we lose the playful aspect. We lose the
Mm.
levity and fun of a relationship, and then it ends. It becomes more of a chore, and
Yeah.
then it ends.
What's up, guys? This podcast is brought to you by UTest. UTest provides clinically accurate, rapid home testing kits for a variety of medical conditions and deficiencies. Designed for convenience, these tests deliver results in just 5 minutes, eliminating the need to wait days or weeks for lab results. The range includes tests for prostate PSA levels, bowel cancer screening, onset menopause to fertility, and more. All tests are available with the next day delivery at www.utest.co.uk. Use the code 0010 for 10% off your order. Now, let's go back to the episode.
How do people differentiate the difference between that's an anxious attachment, like,
Yeah.
seeking things, and actually the person is creating those insecurities for you as well? Like, because if someone's showing bad values, like their values are different
Yeah.
as loyalty, trust, maybe even just down to little things, messaging other people, that is gonna really, for someone who's anxious, that's gonna really expose those wounds even more, right?
Yeah, 100%, and create them.
Yeah.
So that's one way it can shift. And that is why it's kind of complicated. Like it's good to understand. I think the way you know is if you have a basic understanding of what we're going through right now, so you know where you're starting from. You
Mm,
can view yourself like, how am I in most relationships, or how am I out of relationships? Am I different in this one than I usually am? Then you can kind of see how it's shifting. If you understand how your partner is,
yeah.
like you just listen to this same thing and go through the quiz, but think about how your partner is, then you could see, okay, are they highly avoidant and it's causing me to be more anxious? But the best way that I've seen to really tell what you think, if you're just really confused, like, is this me or is this my partner or is it a combination? Is get out a piece of paper and write the name of your best friend at the top, and then write down everything that's happening, like all the details, all the thoughts you're having, all the behaviors your partner is doing, and then really sit down and imagine that they're going through it instead of you,
Mm,
and then give them advice because we're bad at giving ourselves advice
yeah.
and trusting ourselves in that way, but we're really good at analyzing other people's situations. So
That's a great,
that's what I would do there.
that's such a great way of looking at it and just flipping the role. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, usually we know. Like if we're like, oh no, if you're a girl and you're dating a guy and he's messaging three of his exes, but he says that it's like it doesn't really matter, like just friends, but it gets kind of sketchy and you're like, I don't know, I don't trust myself. But if you had a friend that told you that same thing, you'd know exactly what to tell her.
Yeah, so true. So
So so yeah, that's what I like to do there. Do you want to go on to the avoidant one?
yeah, please just do a call.
All right, cool. So next one is avoidant, which it's really similar to what we said about growing up with anxious attachment style, where things are inconsistent. But a lot of times there's also hurt here. Like they really trusted someone and then got let down.
Mm,
Or maybe like parents were alcoholics or something, that they were supposed to be able to trust their parents, but then a lot of times their parents forgot about them, or they had to step up and grow up too fast and take on the parent role because their parents couldn't handle it.
yeah.
But also, like maybe early on they got really cheated on. They trusted someone and got shown that love cannot be trusted. So this one is generally the opposite of what we said before. So anxious is I'm not good, but love is good, so love is rare. Avoidant is I'm good, but love is bad
Yeah.
because I got hurt by it. So I need to watch out for myself, always keep it at arm's length because I know if I open up too much or trust too much, then I'm going to get hurt. So as an adult, this looks like usually a lot of more shallow relationships, like chain of like I always date people for like 3 months and then something happens, I don't like them anymore, or getting really stressed and wanting to break up when things escalate in being serious. So becoming official or moving in together or getting engaged, all of a sudden you're noticing all these problems. That's like what happened to me was I was talking about marriage and I was good up to that point, and then all of a sudden, holy crap, there's all these things I don't like about her. Where did that come from? So like that's the third really common one is avoidant attachment style.
Mm,
So there's one more, and
yeah.
this last one is more rare. It's usually pretty turbulent childhoods, like a lot of times with abuse or foster care. A ton turns into this one. It's about 2% of the population. And one more thing before I get into this one is people hear this one and everyone's like, that one's me. Like 100% of the people usually. But there's one more thing to understand about attachment styles is they're not going to be perfect. It's
Mm,
more like weather and climate where like if you're in a desert and it rains once, it doesn't mean it's a rainforest now.
yeah,
So if you're like usually anxiously attached, but then in this one scenario you're avoidantly attached, that doesn't mean you're this last one disorganized. It's
yeah.
just you're still anxious. It's just kind of depends sometimes. But the last one, disorganized, is a mix of anxious and avoidant because the kid just to deal with all the shifting things and not being able to trust anyone, but also really needing love,
Mm.
they develop both of them. So those beliefs they have is I'm not good, I don't deserve love, and love is dangerous. So I really need love, but also when I get it, I need to protect from it because it's not safe when I'm around it.
Mm.
So as an adult, it turns into I need you, but I also can't have you. It's scary to have you. So a lot of mixed signals, a lot of explosive fights. Sometimes it shows up as someone who's extremely, extremely needy in the dating process, but then they get into a relationship and immediately become cold and shut off and push people away, and then just revert back to anxious back in the dating process, or vice versa, that they're super cold and closed off, but then they finally let someone in, and then they're super anxious with them and cling on to them super, super tight. So that's the last one.
It's really interesting, all of those. And for instance, Cole, what happens then if you, your parents, one was anxious and one's an avoidant then, and that's brought down to you as the
That's a
child?
good question. I think that so what would that actually happens a good amount of the time. And I think it's not like a equation that
Mm.
you're like if your parents are this, then you're this. It does depend on how the child interprets stuff.
Yeah.
And I do think we're born with a certain temperament that we're more likely to turn out one way or the other.
Yeah.
Because if you think about what we talked about before, like if things are inconsistent, the child can either say, "Okay, love sucks, it's inconsistent," or they can say, "I suck, that's why it's inconsistent."
Mm.
So I've really seen people develop either one based on that. So I think it's more personal that you've got to look at your case and see, okay, how does this story lead to me feeling like this? But that is one of the first things you do to heal an attachment styles. If you really understand how it started,
Yeah.
that's one thing that I work with through all clients, like we did too. Like
Yeah.
you just, I have these worksheets called like origin of anxious attachment or avoidant attachment. If you really understand why it started, you can narrow down some beliefs it created about yourself, and then you can work through those beliefs. But yeah, that's a really interesting question. But yeah, I think the true answer is it's not an equation. It doesn't always turn into disorganized or anxious and avoidant. It does depend on the kid too.
Yeah. I think yeah, it's I just love asking these questions, learning about it, because
Yeah.
it's taught me so much about myself in my journey. So when I ask it, I'm like, I think I'm in a position now where I've learned a lot about it, and I'm still I think you're forever learning, you're forever
Yeah.
overcoming obstacles. So but the biggest thing was understanding like my nervous system and recognizing what was going on in that, even in a healthy relationship, like because you're still gonna overcome stuff even in a healthy relationship. And I think some people, including myself in the past, have probably seen issues and gone, no, this is not good. I got to get out. Because I always reflect for a lot of people, like the first 3 months, it's the honeymoon period for a lot of people, right? So the
Yeah.
endorphins, dopamine is extremely high, and that levels out. And then you're starting to kind of go into the realness of each other. And
Yeah.
probably for myself in the past, and maybe for some of my listeners, it's probably the stage where I've those which you spoke about earlier, Cole, was those flaws start to pop up. Those they don't look that great anymore. The shininess has gone away from this, and I suppose how can someone understand this is a healthy relationship, but you have to actually keep going, like keep working on this, not just like, oh, this is meant to be, this is meant to be easy. I think I suppose that even little things like growing up, if you ever watch like Disney or like cartoons growing up, it was always like the love movie, the love story where it's happily ever after.
Yeah.
And I think that's stored in a lot of people as well. Oh, it's got to be like this. Do you know what I mean? Is that right?
Yeah, totally. It relationships, it helps to understand what's going on in your brain in early relationship to like the second stage of a relationship. At the beginning, it's mainly based on dopamine.
Mm.
Dopamine is not scary. Like you're not gonna get hurt by it. It's not as much related to love. So if you have wounds around love, like you're coming from that more avoidant place and you're like this connection love feeling is dangerous, dopamine's not gonna feel like that. It's just gonna feel like something exciting, like a roller coaster or like riding I like riding dirt bikes. Like
Mm.
it's like that. It's just gonna feel like exciting, which is what the beginning of a relationship feels like. And that's why people act so different at the beginning. Like people at the beginning are all over each other. They make out for hours and they're just like, this is amazing. Everything's so great. And then after about 3 months, it shifts to mainly being based on oxytocin with spikes of dopamine periodically.
Mm,
And you do have to create those. Like they don't just happen as spontaneously. You have to plan for them. So it shifts and it's different, but it has the capacity to be better.
mm,
So dopamine is very fleeting, and also our brains are wired to become tolerant to it.
mm,
So that's why you can't just be in a dopamine relationship forever because kind of like drugs rely on dopamine, and that's why people need higher and higher doses over time. Your brain is wired to naturally like work past and need more.
mm,
And that's why, like, if you're just going for that dopamine thing and you don't learn to adjust to the more oxytocin type relationship, people will jump from relationship to relationship because they have this one, then their tolerance builds and it's not that exciting. So then they jump on another roller coaster and do it again with someone else and never end up developing anything deep.
mm.
So that's the first thing is realize that it's different and it's going to feel different. And I'd become curious about what that can feel like.
Yeah.
Second is if you tend to look for flaws and stuff all around that time, now that you have a basic understanding of attachment styles, I would create a time where you can pause and label that as, okay, this is something inside me trying to protect me. This doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is wrong
Mm.
or that I'm going to like be doomed forever to be sad if I continue this. So like with you, do you remember what are the symptoms you noticed in yourself when we would like stop and
Yeah.
realize, okay, this is the attachment style. This isn't like some intuition thing.
I think it was with this one. It was a little different because we didn't have this like chaotic, massive high, and I believe my partner would say the same. It was very
Yeah.
much like a slow burning. Like we're actually it was so different from the normal of like the chaos and everything was actually like leveled, and
Yeah.
it got gradually better and better, and I think it made me really understand him more and communicate more actually what we're at, what are we on the same page, and what do we want out of this. But the thing that really come up for me was new stages. I think
Okay.
because of going to like maybe the 3 months, or then spending more time with each other, or going away, or staying nights.
Yeah.
I think it was like the old part of me going, oh shit, this happened in the past. um that normally made me like anxious or overwhelmed. I'd get this tightness in my chest, and then my brain would try and push away. And I think that's why I was so grateful this time that I would like I believe everyone needs a coach at some stage, but or coaches throughout their careers. But like I'm so glad that I got into this early on in this relationship with yourself and spoke about this. And it helped me recognize that like that was just my body trying to protect myself. It wasn't my
Yeah.
body like going, get out here, there's red flags, because there was no red flags in my current relationship, and this still
I
isn't.
think she's awesome. I
Yeah,
really like her.
she's amazing. I'm super grateful, and it's probably taught me more that I'm very grateful I got someone who has done work on themselves as well, and they're very big on communication because I'm big on communication, and it made
Yeah.
me share things about myself and patterns, and her go, instead of like judging it, she actually is like, oh well, how can I help you, or how can we make heal each other, and that was beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think that you guys are cool because you do have a deeper level of communication that you can talk about actually what's going on beneath the surface of both of you and work through conflict. It's sweet.
Yeah.
But like what you said, I think that can be a good formula for anyone who's listening who has the same thing. So the way that you can continue just jumping from relationship to relationship is just you feel bad, therefore you throw relationships away.
Mm,
That's the formula for sabotaging things if you have an avoidant attachment style.
mm,
But the one we talked about just barely is you feel bad and then you stop, you pause and you just observe. So
mm,
you say, okay, what's going on right now? Oh, it's a time that we're escalating the relationship. I know this is something that links with avoidant attachment style that usually causes that to activate and for me to sabotage things. So okay, I'm a detective. That's the first thing.
mm,
Maybe this isn't like totally wrong for me. Let's keep looking for stuff. And then you notice, okay, my body's all tight. I'm showing all these signs of anxiety. Let's do something to calm the anxiety so that I'm in a clear state of mind. And
Mm,
then I'll make the judgment. So then you can like go on a walk or listen to music that you really like, or just like say things that you love about yourself, or be grateful for things. Do things that put you in a different emotional state.
mm,
And then once you've got that, usually once you're out of the anxiety, you can see more clearly what you actually want.
yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing. I'd make it a rule that if you tend to do this type of stuff, make it a rule that you don't make huge decisions when you're in a state of anxiety like that. Like you can make them, you can leave every relationship you want to leave, but just make it a rule that you do it when you're fully in control of your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, yeah, like you just said, there's some amazing areas you've just touched on. And I think just being aware to those patterns instead of just thinking, oh, what is this going on? My coping mechanism is push away, where it was actually like calming my nervous system by actually staying in it whilst
Yeah.
feeling that way was like me healing. That makes
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the more times you prove to yourself that you can do that, what we just described, the less intense it is every time.
Yeah.
When you prove to yourself, look, I can be in the scary place and survive and be okay and then be happy after. You don't need as intense of a protection when you get there anymore. So it usually becomes like easier over time, except when you escalate now, like getting married is scarier than being with someone for 3 months. So then you have a scarier thing to deal with. So you have to get stronger skills there and it might come back again. But yeah, that's an awesome point to bring up.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode. We are proudly sponsored by RT Plumbing and Gas. Whether it's domestic, new installations, maintenance, and breakdowns, we got it all covered here, and even just boiler services are due. You can book us at 07730 393 064 or just email us at rtplumbing.gas at gmail.com. Whether it's a breakdown, gas, maintenance, plumbing, or just a servicing and heating, contact the guys at RT Plumbing.
What are green flags people don't talk about enough that predicts a healthy relationship early on?
That I have two contradicting ones that pop up in my head first. So a lot of times when I was growing up, I heard that marriage is really hard, that
Mm,
relationships are really hard. And everyone tells you that all the time, especially with marriage. They're always like, marriage is hard. It's worth it, but it's hard. So it just sounds like it just kind of sucks. But one thing I noticed with Jocelyn was it was really easy being with her.
mm,
And in my last marriage was really hard a lot of the time. So I just assumed this is what I'm supposed to do. Everyone told me it's hard and it's hard, so therefore I'm on the right track. But with Jocelyn, it was just really, really easy.
mm.
Now it became more hard when we had a baby because now we have obligations. We've had to figure out new dynamics, handle things like postpartum depression, and I was really into like spontaneous adventures, so I have to learn how to plan better now. I have to grow in that area. So it becomes hard, but in general, it wasn't like until we came to something that we both had to really grow at, it wasn't hard.
Yeah.
So that's one really green flag is I just really gelled with her, which was cool, and I didn't know that existed, so I didn't know to look for it.
Yeah.
Second thing is the opposite. So that's why I think it can be kind of a paradox, but a lot of people that come with me and work with me, one of the biggest flags that sets me off to, okay, there might be an avoidant attachment style somewhere in this relationship is when they say, we were together for 3 years and we never fought. And then she just broke up with me out of the blue and I have no idea what's going on. That
Mm,
happens so much. So you should be a little wary. It should be easy, like it shouldn't be very like pulling teeth to be around them.
yeah.
But you should also remember that both people are people and people get bugged at stuff. And that's a good thing because if people are getting bugged and they tell you, that means they trust you to be able to open up and share things with you.
Mm,
And also, it means they are willing to work to change their expectations or change the relationship into something that's sustainable for them so they can stay.
yeah.
So if someone's bringing up something that bothers them, like you don't brush your teeth good enough, your breath stinks. You could take that and be like, oh my gosh, like he's so judgmental. I'm beautiful. Like what's wrong with him judging me like
Yeah.
that? Or you could be like, he really wants to be around me. So he's trying to help me be a better partner for him. And
Mm.
I can do that for him too, because both of us want this to be something that lasts forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are two that pop into my head right away. Another one would be having a complete life outside of the relationship before you jump into one.
Mm.
And this one's tricky because if if you start dating someone and they want to do nothing but see you in that dopamine stage at the beginning, that feels like the biggest green flag in the world because you want to feel validated and like you're awesome.
Yeah.
So if you meet a guy and he is like always wanting to be around you, has time for you every single night, or
Mm.
you meet a girl and she's just texting you all day, at the beginning you're like, cool, I knew I was this awesome. Like this is great. But the problem with that is if we rely on somebody completely for our own meaning,
Mm.
it it one is not really a stable foundation because people falter, people aren't perfect.
Mm.
So if that becomes the pattern in your relationship and then you have a bad day and you can't support that person, they often feel like their whole world is crashing down because they made their world you. And then also, it's too much pressure for one person to carry.
Yeah.
So you'll probably become pretty exhausted. It'll feel great at the beginning, but then you'll get exhausted and lose respect for them. So to have a good relationship that lasts, it usually is two people who have complete and fulfilling lives that they want to combine together to enhance, not to complete or define.
Mm.
So finding someone who has a friend group already, who has hobbies they're pursuing, who's passionate about something in the world, who has some sort of purpose they're pursuing, and then they find you and want to share all that with you is a lot more sustainable than finding someone who just really, really, really likes you.
Mm. That's really interesting, and I love that because I think if you literally like cut, those people have cut their whole friendship off and just turn straight to the partner. It's like that ends, and then they slowly start to come back, and then they do the same
Yeah.
again, and it's such a crappy way of looking at life. But it's I think you should have your own mission, your own purpose, whatever it is you're into, like your career or your health, your social life, and then that's another part of it. I don't believe it should be the like you just said. Then your partner shouldn't be everything in your life because it's just not healthy. It's like an addiction.
Doesn't work.
Nah.
Like that's the one I did. Like I'm way except for that one time after the divorce where I showed up really avoidant and then she broke up with me with the second girl. I'm usually pretty anxious.
Yeah.
I've gotten way better over time, but especially during my marriage and the dating period after that,
Yeah.
I remember when I met my ex-wife, I went up to Idaho in the US to go to college. And my friends were so excited because I had a lot of friends that were going to school there already, and I was going to be their roommate. And I was like, I'm coming. And they were so excited. And then I met her and I just ditched them. Like I
Oh,
think I hung out with them like two times.
oh
And it
wow.
kind of ruined the friendship, and it's totally my fault.
Mm.
And that was just like the natural thing for me to do. But
Mm.
then when she left and I got divorced, like I moved back in with my parents and had no friends anymore.
Yeah, that's
It
that's
was just a really unstable thing and it sucked. So it's it's a lot and it's even like even in a relationship, both people need like if you're a guy, you need time with other guys. They understand you better. Like you can share things. You can be versions of yourself that you can't be around your wife, and that's fine. That's okay. Like
yeah.
your wife gets a version of you, and that's awesome. But like there are things that guys just like talking about more, and that's okay. It's not like you're hiding things from her or that she doesn't get you enough. It's just because men and women are different. So you need to we don't live on islands as married couples for a reason.
Mm.
So don't just make yourself into that.
Yeah. I think, what would Jocelyn be, your partner, your wife? What attachment style would she lean more to?
Avoidant.
Avoidant. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'd say Alicia is more on the anxious and I'd be more on the avoidant. So it's
Yeah.
how did you guys kind of connect and help kind of work that together? If one's kind of give me space and the other one's more seek the opposite end, how do you bring that
Yeah.
together?
I have to do things. I think it's if you both understand the dynamic and then you do things on purpose to make it work.
Mm,
So one really common dynamic that we can argue about if we don't do the right things is I work from home most of the time,
mm,
and she works at a salon. It's actually in her parents' house. They built her a salon that she does eyelash extensions and spray tans.
amazing.
So she'll be out all day and then she'll get home and she'll want to relax and be home and do things and not go out and have social time because she already had that all day. And then I'm coming from the exact opposite place. I spoke to people on my computer all day in my room, in this room, on this couch. I
Yeah.
did not move. And now I'm like, okay, let's get out. Let's go do something. I am like going crazy in here. So it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
So there's two ways we handle it. One is sometimes Jocelyn's understanding and she pushes herself further than she wants to because she makes a sacrifice so that I can do something fun, which is awesome. Another thing is I ended up renting an office. I'm not there right now because I kind of have a cold, but I have an office and I've got friends in there.
Sure.
So that lets me get social interaction, feel like I was out of the house, and then I get back and then I'm more on her wavelength. So yeah, that's our example, but the basic idea is understand that it's there. Both of you, not just one of you is reading tons of books, like both of you understand it, just like you and Alicia. And then with once you both know, then yeah, just make plans to make it okay. You can. It's not like you're doomed.
Yeah, I agree because I do love like anyone knows me, they'd be like, "What? Ollie's definitely on that more of the social aspect because that's a lot of what I do."
Yeah.
But I think that's why I had to have the office space. But then I think like anyone, you need that area to kind of recharge your batteries too.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think it's more in closeness, in an intimate relationship. I think it's different. That's where it kind of come out more for me. In social aspects, I think I know I'm gonna see you for an hour in this window, then I'm
Yeah.
gone, you know? So I think that was it. But when you're with someone 24/7 who's understanding to work together, I think just reassure him, you can still reassure someone without having to, do everything. You can say it with your words. You can like if someone needs some form of touch. You don't have to be, hooking, kissing the whole night. You could literally
Yeah.
just put your hand on their hand or your leg next to their leg, and other ways of connecting. And I think that was really important. But
Yeah.
I'm just very grateful I can speak with Alicia on this and understand it more. So it saved me a lot of like me. I need that
Yeah.
communication, need that understand. Otherwise, I kind of get stretched too far. So that was important. Uh,
One other thing here I think helps. Like as you were talking about it, I this came into my mind is I think there are a lot of paradoxes with this because the real world, like attachment theory is just a way that's trying to explain reality, but it's going to have holes in it. So one hole is if you get really good at it, sometimes people can just over expand it to be
yeah.
like, oh, my partner's avoidant, therefore they're always going to be pulling away and they don't want me to be close. But like understand it, but then also throw it away and realize that every person is a person and people can shift and change and be different. So
And
like that's why you can work through things. That's why if you're more avoidant and she's more anxious or vice versa, then you're not just doomed. You're both people. You can adjust different things. You have a general pattern you tend to follow most of the time,
mm,
but if you both know that general pattern, then you can work with it and you can change things. And then if some of you want more closeness, then do that. Don't make rigid rules with it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing I wanted to add in there.
I love that, man. Thank you. And I suppose I'm going to move over to breakups now. But I know I'm just going through all the topics because I just want to. I know we'll go for an hour, but I
Cool.
mean just how I see a lot of people in relationships that probably should have ended a long time ago, and they're hanging on in there, and you can just see two people unhappy.
Yeah.
Why, I suppose, why do you see that? Why do people stick around even though they're two miserable people at the moment that just coexist next to each other?
I do that. I've never left anyone, and I can't really even picture myself ever leaving anyone.
Mm,
So it, from what I've understood, it comes from at least two places. One, like with me, is extreme fear of being alone can
mm,
definitely stop it. Like that's more the one that I dealt with, especially through like my marriage and also the relationship after that, especially the relationship after that, because there were points that I thought breaking up would be better for both of us, and I would never do it.
Mm,
Like even though I think there were a lot of ways that were not very compatible, I probably would have gotten married to her anyway.
yeah.
Like I just was not someone to leave.
Mm,
And if that's you, like I do think that it's worth building a muscle of learning how to be alone. So even if you hate it and you're like, I'm an extrovert, I love being with people, it's a useful muscle to have. So go to lunch by yourself, watch movies by yourself, go on a camping trip by yourself, going on a trip by yourself.
yeah.
It's a useful muscle to have just so you can have all choices and the ability to make all choices available to you. Because for me, it wasn't.
Mm,
The second one is interesting is like just the morality around being married is, I think, a big one that like, and I still am not sure where I stand on this. Like, I do think that in a lot of cases, divorce is the better option. I think that with me and my ex-wife, divorce was the better option, even though I didn't think so at the time. There were
mm,
a lot of things we just didn't gel on all the way. But then at the same time, I think that the difference between being married and being in a dating relationship is you promised that
mm,
it's your responsibility to continually fall in love with that person until you're dead.
yeah.
And even after that, I believe more religiously. So, like, if that's the promise and I'm losing feelings, like this is my own doctrine of marriage that I try to apply in mine, I am not I'm not allowed to like leave because I lost feelings. Like it's my
Yeah.
job to learn how to love her again in every single stage.
Mm,
And I don't know if that's right for everybody. I'm still thinking about that one. That's the one that's the best idea that I can come up with for me.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. What do you think on that? Do you think it's ever good to leave a marriage for you just don't like each other anymore?
It's one that I probably, I'm never married, but I've always battled
Yeah.
with that one because I've been the one to normally break up with the relationships in the
Yeah.
past. But I think you need to like, if you've made that commitment and that sacred thing to each other, I think you should explore every option to survive it. If it's like a thin
Yeah.
thread that's still there, try and strengthen it as much as you can. But I do think the two people have got to want to make it work. I don't think if one's running and the other one's just walking backwards the other way, like it's so
Yeah.
hard. And I think that you've got to be in the same. I think that those vows or when you decide to get married, I think they really need to solidify this is what we're doing this for. We're making that decision to through thick and thin, you know?
I
Um,
have two other things popped in my head when you said that. So one is yes, if that is the thing, one thing that's broken about my theory I mentioned a second ago, that it is my job to like continually fall in love over time, which I do think you have more control over than people think.
yeah.
Love is often taught as a feeling right now in culture. And I think also that the direction that we're taught that we should like do our lives is do what makes you happy.
Mm,
But I don't think that's a good recipe for feeling happy. I do think purpose and living within your values is a way better way to be happy than trying to chase happiness. So, like, if you are unhappy, then I think there's a lot you can do to create happiness and create love back in the relationship by serving your wife or keeping a journal of things she does that are right so that you really change your focus to fall in love with her deeper. I think there's a lot more you can do than just being like, oh, my feelings say that I'm not in this right now.
yeah.
But the hard part with that is yes, if you're doing all that stuff, but the other person's not,
Mm,
it can't compensate. If
yeah.
one person's totally out and you're totally in, that's how I felt like when I got divorced the first time, I would never would have left. I think that I still had that idea that it did suck a lot of the time. Like we'd fight really, really often, but I was never gonna leave. But she wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And me not wanting to leave didn't suddenly make us so we wouldn't get divorced. We still did. So yeah, both people have to be in it. And
Yeah.
there's one more thing I want to say, but I forgot what it was. So we can
We'll
we can
keep
keep
going,
going.
and if it come back to you, if it comes back in your head, I love that.
Okay.
I do that all the time. I've got some saying like they've just gone away.
Yeah.
I suppose. What
I
would
know what it is. I know what it
oh,
is.
let's go.
Okay. Um,
What's up, guys? I just want to give a massive shout out to our new partners on the podcast, Haven Alarms. They are massive on looking after our family, making sure that they're safe at home with the CCTV intruder and door cameras. And now the game changer that keeps everyone safe, your loved ones, your family, your friends, and the wider community. The game changer is the fact that they now have something totally different where they can get access and safety to your loved ones from just a click on your phone. So whether your children are outside the house, they're on the way to school, or you're coming home from a night out and you feel alert or distressed, there's people around you that are making you feel on edge, you can now click an app on your phone which can keep you safe at all times, and it'll send an emergency response out to all of your loved ones. Once they do that, they're one click away from finding where your directions are, and they can get access to you within minutes. Now, this is the game changer. In the world that we are in right now, I want everyone safe. Now, if you feel like you want your children safe, or your family or your loved ones safe, now this is the game changer. So check in the description below, click the link, and sign up to your Haven Alarm and get your family and your loved ones feeling safe at all times.
A lot, and this is me talking to, I was in a couple conversations with people who were older, like in their 50s, 60s, and they're talking about why they got divorced. And they said, we got married when we were 20, and then we both, 40 years passed, double the time that we were single. I didn't know who I was going to be, and now I'm a different person, and she's a different person, that we're just not compatible anymore. We don't love each other anymore. So again, I'm 28, so I'm just learning as I go. But the thing that is my solve for that right now that I'm thinking sounds the best to me of how to overcome that or not end up in that place is find someone who is working towards an end that they're not going to grow out of. That's the same as you. The only one I can think of right now is God.
Mm,
If you're both pursuing a relationship with God and you're both like that's your top priority in life,
yeah.
then I don't see how you really can outgrow each other because
Mm,
you're going in the same direction.
yeah.
I can't really think of a different one though.
Mm,
So if God isn't as big of a part of your life, I don't know how that helps.
yeah.
But that's the only solve I can think of for that so far.
I like it. I like that a lot. I want to ask you about this, the people who break up. You talk a lot about the non-contact rule. Is it like,
Yeah.
is it the 30-day rule or something like that, where if you do break up with someone,
I don't know. I don't really like I don't like labeling. 30 days sounds cool for videos, so sometimes I say that and that is the general rule on most videos. But in general, I don't think 30 days is enough time for most people to fundamentally change things about their character that caused the breakup.
yeah.
Um, so I don't tend to limit it to 30 days. But yeah, we can keep
What,
going.
what would you say then, for instance, though, for a lot of people that break up, what is the average that many people go back to the relationship, to go back, like to just
3 to 6 months.
three
That's
to six
that's
months?
the ones that actually work, like they break up, change, and get back together and it lasts. Usually they're apart for 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. And how many percentage of those get like actually work out as well?
50,
50,
50%. When then this comes from a study that it was done by a website called xbackpermanently.com, which doesn't sound like it's that reputable. It kind of sounds just the name. But I looked at the study and this is what I studied in college was biomedical science. So I got good at reading studies and telling like, are these legitimate or not? And I like how they did this. So I consider this data useful. But they interviewed, it was in late 2022. They interviewed, I think it was like 1,200 people.
Yeah.
So good sample size. And they were all broken up for a minimum of 9 months, maximum of 3 years. So they wanted to see like, okay, what's going to happen has probably happened by now. What ended up happening to these people? And they just interviewed them and they said, did you get back together? Did you stay together? What caused you to get back together? And that those kind of questions. They have lots of graphs. It's a cool study. But the numbers they got were 30% of the people that they interviewed got back together, like talked and actually started the relationship again,
Yeah.
which does indicate that probably more people actually did have the chance to get back together. Like there's got to be some percentage that had a chance and just kind of messed it up. Because
Yeah.
in other studies and kind of what I've seen is about 50% of people usually get reached out to and talk again and have a chance.
Mm.
But about 30% got back together. Of the 30% that got back together, 15, so half of the 30%, 15% of the total group stayed together for more than a year after getting back together again.
Wow.
So half of the people who got back together broke up again quickly. And the difference when they interviewed and they asked why did people stay together that time was they had significant time apart that they were not texting each other, which means that they got to truly see this is what life is like without this person, and this is what life is like with this person. And then they got to make a choice for themselves. So
Mm,
they weren't convinced with any sort of tactic or special text. It was a true decision they made based on what they thought was best for their lives.
mm,
And then, second, there were meaningful changes in one or both people. So one or both people went to therapy, coaching, they learned about attachment styles, they read books, they figured out better communication styles. Those people got back together. So if you're broken up with and you're like, I need to get back together, the best thing you can do that's actually in your control is leave the person alone,
yeah.
respect them, let them choose, and then fix everything that's in your control to fix, which is everything on your side.
Love that, man. Absolutely love that. And it's
It's
so true.
not the sexiest answer. It doesn't sound amazing,
No, but
but
it's
that
the
actually
real
works.
answer. The real answers are the ones who are never amazing. It's actually the ones that you've got to focus on yourself and lean
Yeah.
in a bit more. I suppose what's going through the mind of an avoidant after a breakup, and what's going through the mind of an anxious attachment person.
So anxious attachment people usually watch my videos and become clients.
Well,
Anxious,
I'm more on the avoidance side, and I was
you're
one
rare. You're
yeah,
rare. It's if
because
I have 10 clients, like two will be avoidant, eight will be anxious.
oh, so the anxious is more leaning in on wanting to figure this out, with the avoidant.
Yes. So not only figure it out, but also self-improvement.
Yeah,
They more are a secure person will see the breakup and usually take proper accountability for it
yeah,
and bounce back quickly.
mm,
An anxious person will usually take over accountability for it.
yeah,
So they'll say, this was my fault, and also all the things that are my partner's fault were actually just my fault too. So I need to get super into self-development, learn everything I can,
yeah,
and become super attractive so they'll come back.
yeah.
And that does help. Like they do learn a lot and improve, but it's really painful. They go through an immense amount of pain.
Mm,
Avoidant people, you're the outlier. Avoidant people generally say, you know what, that was dumb. We just weren't right for each other. Let's move on, find someone else. So they often start dating again quickly. They don't really think about what happened in the breakup as much. Not always. A lot. I do think this is another time where I like to point out that these are the general patterns, but people are people more than they are attachment styles.
yeah.
So I haven't really seen many people at all out of the 2,000 people I've coached. And so that's 4,000 people because it's 2,000 people in a relationship. Some are polyamorous, so probably more than 4,000 people.
Wow. How do you coach
But
that? How do you? That's another
it's
rabbit
hard.
hole.
It's way harder.
Yeah, man. I don't know how you.
But they do go through pain. It's usually just delayed. Usually they jump into another relationship or they get super into the gym and
Yeah.
they start thinking about other things. But usually they miss them. It's usually just a couple months down the road where anxious people are more like now, right now I feel it.
I think it's so true what you said. Then I find when if I reflect on the time when I was younger and I was in a long-term relationship and I bought a house with a partner and this is early 20s. We broke up after that, after the knee reconstruction and the house. I split up with that partner within 2 months. I met someone else because I just couldn't, and that was still 2 months, but I didn't want to deal with the pain, like what was going on in my
Yeah.
own world. So I just masked it with another relationship
Yeah.
until that wore off. And then I was like, oh, it's that person. That's the issue. And it was just and then when that broke up, I think I had a massive layoff from relationships and for a while just to sort my shit out. But I mean, um, when you said that, when you were talking about that earlier, something come to my mind regarding the avoidant aspect of a breakup. And I think what I learned, because I felt like, you know what, I'm getting older now. I want a relationship. I think I was craving love. Like from the outer to everyone. Like I'm talk a lot and I see people. I generally care people because I do, but deep
Yeah.
down, I've always craved true love. You know, that relationship love. And I think, you know, I really reflected not on the relationship I'm in now, but the one before. Things that I took away from it that I liked and things that I didn't like, and the things that I went, well, you know what? If I don't learn to speak up and learn to um, s- explain early on what's going on in my world, I don't think I'm ever gonna really get over it. And I think the last one was I really struggle with um, what they found was normal to what I found was normal, and I think we were on a mismatch early on. So like I think the foundations of the relationship for my ex partner was there was a level of like trust gone already. So I think we broke
Yeah.
up, and I tried to come back after a couple of months, but
Yeah.
obviously the foundation was never formed. It wasn't solid, like on our values and trust. So no matter how much further I went into that relationship, every time we had an issue, it always come back to, even if it was a minor thing, it would expose bigger things, even if it wasn't that going on. It was the
Yeah.
first relationship where I felt like, wow, I'm really I've become anxious, really anxious here, which was mad for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
when I met in the partner I am now, I think having those early on conversations and being transparent with it would really help for me anyway. I just wanted to get this. I wanted to work on myself, like not just in training, not just going to the gym loads or you know business. I wanted to actually have a deeper connection with someone. So I think that was the why I reached out anyway. But if that makes sense.
That's cool. No, 100%. And that's the ones that like even though that didn't work, that is the pattern for things that work more. Like you did explore and then you figured out, no, I want this. It's never tricking anyone into it. And
Mm,
that's the hardest part is that's probably the videos that get the most views in this niche of breakup stuff
yeah,
is like what can I do to trick them into it? Like how should I post on my social media? How should I text them? How should I show up?
yeah,
But none of that actually works. The biggest solution to that is just remember that your goal is not to get someone back, it's to have a relationship.
yeah.
And like if you build it on trickery and manipulation stuff, then you might succeed in getting them back, but they don't just end again because you didn't do anything to build a foundation that's actually going to work. So, yeah, the other thing with that is if you are in the process of getting back together, the other thing people do that it makes it actually really last is they talk about what went wrong before. They don't just say, "This is a new relationship now." It's not. Like you guys have memories, you're humans. So you have to really repair what happened before getting back together. And you have to be honest. And maybe that conversation makes it so you don't get back together. That's the risk that's worth taking.
Mm,
Because if you guys aren't strong enough to handle what broke you in the past to get back together, then it's going to break you again anyway. And
mm,
it's going to be more painful if it's during the relationship again. So I
mm.
recommend having a lot of fun first, building connection again, like going on a lot of dates. But then when it's at the time that you're talking about, should we get back together? You've got to talk about and resolve the thing that broke you up the first time.
Yeah, because if you don't, if you literally, that's what I was about to say. If you're trying to reconnect after a breakup, and you're kind of trying to get the hard questions done straight away, but you haven't really built
That
that.
doesn't work either.
No, so
Yeah.
it's really it is a tricky scenario to kind of navigate, right?
Yeah, there are techniques, I guess. Like I like to think of it like a bank account. This is from and I've got to go in a couple minutes,
Yeah, no,
but this is from a book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
yeah, great book.
Is there's a concept, and I put this in my book too. There's a concept called the emotional bank account where you think of your relationship, whether it's in a breakup or in a relationship, that fun, easy, light things are deposits and fights, but even like hard conversations that need to have but are hard are withdrawals.
Yeah.
So if you're like broken up and then you're trying to get back together, that conversation is going to be a withdrawal. So put things in the bank account first. You can't withdraw from zero or the bank gets mad and the relationship breaks.
Hey man, Cole, absolutely love that man. And one thing I would ask you, I ask everyone at the end of the episode
Yeah.
is, what are you grateful for?
Well, since we've been talking about breakups and stuff, I'm grateful for the hard times that I went through that taught me how to have the relationship I have right now. And I really didn't feel like that at the time I was going through them. When I was going through a divorce and that breakup, I thought the entire world was going to explode. But I don't think I'd be able to relate to my wife the way I can now, or I wouldn't have this job, which I really love, or the opportunity to talk to people. So I am grateful for the way my life has gone so far.
Man, love that, Cole. Hey, thank you so much, brother. We'll wrap it
Yeah.
up. Thanks, dude.
Cool.